About a year ago, I bought a Toyota Altezza from an exporter in Japan called Midori Works. The car would become legal to import in May of 2024, so I had about 10 months to figure out exactly what I needed to do to get the car from the port of Los Angeles to my home in Colorado. Today I'm going to share with you everything I learned along the way. My name is Jimmy, and welcome to Front Range Garage. To start this process, I began by reaching out to an exporter, Midori Works, who I highly recommend, by the way. I asked if they could help me find a Toyota Altezza RS200 with a manual transmission and a Neo V1 kit. Luckily, they actually already had one. They shared pictures of the car with me and it was incredibly clean, so I decided to buy it from them. I had to wire transfer the money in Japanese yen, which I wasn't familiar with doing at the time, but I went to my bank and it was actually pretty easy. And then once they received the money, the waiting period of almost a year began. The next step, which in my case was about 8 months later, was to contact a shipping broker. I went with Gwen from Sound Brokerage and she was great to work with. The first step of working with a broker is to fill out and send a power of attorney and copy of your photo ID. Once that is finished, there are many documents that you'll need to gather for the broker. These following documents are those. First is an invoice or bill of sale from the seller. Second is a Japanese export certificate from the seller. Third, you'll need that export certificate translated to English by a certified translator. Fourth is EPA Form 3520-1. Fifth is DOT Form HS-7. Sixth is your bill of lading from the seller. Seventh is the master shipping line arrival notice. And eighth is the ISF 10+2 form. You will receive the bill of sale, export certificate, bill of lading, and arrival notice from the seller or exporter of the car, and you can just forward those documents over to the broker. As for the English translation of the export certificate, I used a company called Japanology Translation, and their price was $55. They had the translated copy back to me in one day, but they say it can take up to 2. Now I'll walk you through the forms that you have to fill out. We'll start with the EPA Form 3520-1. Your broker may have different instructions for this form, and please follow them if that is the case, but this is what my broker had me fill out. So we're going to leave boxes 1, 2, and 3 blank for the broker to fill out. For the VIN in box 4, for a Japanese car, you'll type your chassis number there. You will also fill out the manufacture date, make, and model of the car. On this form, you will type your full name in boxes 10 and 11, as you are the importer and owner of the vehicle. You will then sign box 13, date in box 14, and enter your name and phone number in box 15. If the vehicle is over 21 years old, you will check the box for code E, and that is all for the EPA form. Next up is going to be the DOT Form HS-7. On this form, I was told to leave the port of entry, customs port code, customs entry number, and the entry date blank. Go ahead and fill out the make, model, year, and VIN on the next line. The third line only needs to be filled out if you are checking box 3, but if you are following the 25-year import rule, you can go ahead and leave that blank. And on the fourth line, put used vehicle. Next, you will check box 1, which states that the vehicle is over 25 years old, and you will type in the date of manufacture. At the bottom of the document, you will put your name and address for importer and declarant. You will put individual in the box that says declarant's capacity, and you will sign and date the declarant's signature box. Next, we will go over the ISF 10+2 form. This form must be filed no less than 24 hours before the vehicle departs the port in Japan. If you fail to do this on time, you can be fined up to $10,000, and you will have to get this done quickly because you only have a few days after you receive the bill of lading to get this filled out and filed. On this form, I was told to leave the AMS house bill number blank. You'll enter your master bill number from your bill of lading in the next box. The SCAC is also from the bill of lading. In the manufacturer box, you will put the name and address of the manufacturer of the vehicle. In my case, this was Toyota. The seller and stuffing location and the consolidator/forwarder are all Midori Works in my case. For the buyer and ship to boxes, you will put your name and address. For container number, if the vehicle is being shipped in a container, you would put it here. If it is not being shipped in a container, you will put NA shipping via RO-RO. For the item description, you will put used vehicle as well as the make, model, and VIN of the car. Country of origin is Japan, and I was told to leave the HTS 10-digit code blank. You will then sign at the bottom and this form is done. Next, we're going to go over pricing. The broker will collect these fees from you and pay them on your behalf. The following fees are from my broker, so it may be different depending on which broker you use. So first, we've got a $75 new customer fee. Then we've got a $65 ISF fee and a $50 ISF bond. We also have a $175 entry fee for the broker, $25 delivery order fee for processing, $35 DOT reporting fee, $35 EPA reporting fee, and then the bond is based on 3 times the value of your car and then assessed at $5.50 per $1,000 of value plus duties and taxes, and that is a minimum of $55. And then duties and taxes as well, which is based on the value of the car. So in total, I owed the broker $1,077.55. But this varies greatly depending on the cost of the vehicle and the broker you use. After you pay the broker, you should receive an email from the broker that contains the entry summary, entry/immediate delivery, and customs bond forms. You need to make sure you bring these when you go to pick up the car because they have to be stamped at a U.S. Customs office in the city where you pick up the car. Before the car arrives, you will also receive original copies of all the paperwork from the seller or exporter in Japan. These also all need to be brought to the port. Next, you'll need to make an appointment with the port. I'm not sure if this process varies with different ports, so keep in mind that this information is for the Port of Los Angeles. I received an email to pay more fees, this time $128 to the port, and once this fee is paid and the vehicle is cleared customs, you can schedule your appointment with the port. They do provide you an email and phone number for a port contact, but in my experience, they are not going to answer the phone. So to set up your appointment, you're going to need to email them. In the subject line for your email, you'll need to put the name of the vessel, so the name of the ship, and the bill of lading number. And in the body of the email, you will put what time you would like your appointment to be. So once all that's done, it's time to actually go to the port to pick up your car. This is probably going to be the most stressful part of this process, especially if you've never been on a port before like me. So for this, you'll need to bring an original copy of your bill of lading, your delivery order, a valid TWIC card, your driver's license, and a high-vis vest. You actually should just bring original copies of everything because they're probably going to ask to see it. The email also states that you either need a jump pack or jumper cables. This is not true. They will not allow you to jump the car using cables, so make sure you bring a fully charged jump pack because the battery in the car is most likely dead. The car will also be completely out of gas, so you'll need to bring a gas can. If you don't have a valid TWIC card like me, you're going to need to pay for a TWIC escort. They will not tell you this anywhere in the email or paperwork, but you cannot pay with cash or card. You actually have to pay with a money order. In my case, it was $25, but they did mention that after lunch, it goes up to $100. And just kind of expect everyone at the port to not be very nice. They're not going to help you out. They act like you should know what you're doing. So, yeah, it's not great, but you'll get through it. So to pay with your money order to get your TWIC escort, you need to go to this building here. And I'll put the address up on screen as well. And then you'll be instructed to go onto the port. So you're not allowed to drive onto the port. So you'll go to this area right here and wait for the port workers to instruct you what to do. You will then be driven onto the port to find your car by the TWIC escort. Expect seeing your car for the first time to be a very underwhelming experience because you're going to be pretty stressed out. And once you find your car, just fill it with gas, jump it, and drive back to the area where you met your TWIC escort. And you'll need to have some documents stamped by a port worker before you can actually leave. But once you get that stamped, you're good to leave the port. Now you have to go to the customs office. You must go to the customs office in the city where the car was imported. In my case, this was the customs office in Long Beach, California. The address for the office is 301 East Ocean Boulevard, Suite 670. Try to get there as early as possible after you leave the port because they close at 4:30 and will gladly tell you to come back tomorrow if they don't have enough time. They did give me a checklist of everything you need to bring to the customs office that I wish I had received earlier, but here's that checklist. So first, you need to have 2 forms of ID. They will not help you if you only bring one, so make sure you bring 2. Next, you need the translated and original copies of the export certificate, as these are going to be used as the title. You can skip step 3 here if the car is over 25 years old. You do need to make sure that your broker has paid duty, so just give them a call before you go to the customs office, make sure that's done. Step 6 is not going to be necessary in this situation. And next, make sure you have an original copy of the bill of sale. You'll also need 3 pictures of the vehicle. So you need one of the vehicle itself, one of the VIN plate, and one of the speedometer. And the vehicle does need to be present here at the customs office for an inspection. They're mostly concerned that the engine has not been swapped for another engine that did not originally come in the car. So do not buy a JDM car that has been swapped or you'll have a hard time. So once you finish up at the customs office, you're finally good to go home. So for the DMV, you're pretty much going to need all of your paperwork from customs, the port, everything. Your export certificate will be used as the title, and the chassis number will be used as the VIN. You will also need a VIN verification before going to the DMV. This can be done by a licensed dealer or a state police officer. So I had mine done by my friend Anthony, who works at a dealership and is also a host on this channel. At the DMV, it was about $1,000 to register the car in Colorado, and my county does not have emissions, so if you live in a county where you do have emissions, you should do more research on that, because I'm not really sure of all that's required for that. And then, once you're done there, you'll get your plates, and you can finally drive your 25-year-old shitbox that you just spent all this time importing. Links for Midori Works, Sound Brokerage, and Japanology translations are all going to be listed in the description for you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. And stay tuned to Front Range Garage for plenty of more exciting and hopefully way less stressful car content in the future.